Welcome to Let's Talk. Guys, we're so glad to have you here to join us on this most beautiful day. So, my name is Jason, and my co host,
Cheryl.
and here at Let's Talk, we like to discuss the issues that are really burning with you. And we like to try to come up with workable solutions that so we don't have so much talk and more actions. So, today, our topic today is back to school. Back to school. This is like prom and Christmas up there. This is for the parents. So we just can't wait to get these kids out of the house to get them back in school because they turn into these eating machines. They sleep all day, they up till nothing o'clock and all kind of ungodly hours in the night. They barely never hurting. They ain't never sick. I hope you're all paying attention to that. They never sick.
It's true.
And they always eating. But now it's time for school. So hopefully our pockets will feel a little less.
Yes.
So Cheryl, how do you feel about this new back to schools? Yeah.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings, but I'm happy. I'm happy we're back to school. I am excited. I'm excited. And let me just put this out there that anything I say, I'm just representing my own feelings and opinions. I'm not representing the feelings and opinions of the institution that I work for or anything of that nature. So let me just say that first.
Oh, so you work for one of those institutions?
Yes, but we're not talking about that.
Hey, all right. Good to know. Good to know. All right.
Anyway, so we're looking at back to school, yes, from all perspectives, from the parents' perspective, from the school's perspective, maybe from societal expectations as it relates to school and parents and what to expect and all that good stuff.
Awesome. So I wonder if we all are ready for back to school. Now, back to school starts about the same time every year.
Pretty much.
But then again, it always seems to catch a lot of us by surprise. I wonder why. You think it was planning?
Of course.
Our priorities wrong. I mean, even when it comes down to the schools, the governments, they ain't never got the school them ready. That's the same problem. I know when I was in school, they just wait till a week before school to start painting, fixing roof and all this stuff. That's still happening?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know. I do not recall.
I don't
recall, man.
But children are in school, so I'm sure the schools are prepared. Okay. Yeah, I know the institution to which I belong. School is in session. The classrooms are ready. Everything is in order.
Oh, wow.
For education to happen. And education is happening. It has been happening from the first day of school, which was yesterday.
Oh, yes. Pardon me. See, my kids were at different school, so I didn't even know they didn't reach back to school yet. So
oh, okay. And as we talk about this back to school, first of all, I want to say, if the report card has not been picked up from last term, where are you going? Where are you going?
That happening?
That still happens. Children dressed up, fully dressed, back to school yesterday, but the report card from June is still sitting there.
Wow.
So we have some issues. We have a lot of issues to deal with. Even as we talk about back to school, we want to talk about parental expectations. If the child is going to succeed, what are we willing to invest? You know, the teachers only can do so much. The government only can do so much. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a parenting issue because it's the parents' responsibility.
As it always is. The parents' home is foundation. It all begins at home.
Yes.
You know, and for a child to be successful, for me, I think it's three parts. It's the parents, number one.
Yeah.
The child, number two, and then the teachers.
Absolutely.
The teachers have to build on that. And if either one of those components aren't running on 100%, it makes it that much harder for that child to succeed.
That's true.
But it begins with the parents. The parents have to enforce education, enforce learning, and make the child see how important that is. Because children will do what children do. They can be children. They go to the path of least resistance. They'll always go to the easiest path. They'll always shy away from work. They'll always go to where it's more fun. Education doesn't seem that much fun, but it's important to function in this life. So parents, you are the first line of defense and offense. It's up to you. Don't be, but too often the parents just like to drop the kids off, you know, and just leave it up to the teachers. Leave it up to the school.
It's the school's problem. But like you say, the parent creates the culture for learning. Whatever the habits are as it relates to learning, the child gets from home.
Yes.
And so the parent creates that. Sadly, we don't have the children enough. And when I don't know why I'm saying we as if I'm speaking on behalf, but when the school doesn't have the children long enough. So sometimes it's hard to recreate the culture that's already there.
Right.
And when the child leaves school, they go back home to whatever that culture is.
Correct.
And if there's no, if education is not a value, because you can tell if education is a value in a lot of homes. You can tell. You have children with iPhones and no textbooks. You have children with Clark's shoes and no textbooks. And the government has done a lot. The government provides a very good education. It is our constitution that every child in the Bahamas between 5 and 16 are given free education. And so the government has done its part.
We can come back to the education, the good education, but Cheryl, I want to just piggyback off that. Where you said they have the iPhone and they have the latest fashion and things, but when it comes to the education, it's like that's way down. That's not even second on their list. You know, when you see prom come up, sports days and other stuff. I mean, they right there. I mean, prom is an event. That's right up there with weddings and funerals. Prom.
Yeah.
But they don't even know if their child graduating.
Sometimes they have not graduated.
Oh my
and
gosh.
will not graduate.
And that don't matter.
And no, it doesn't.
But how would they even know if their child is going to the next grade if they ain't pick up the report card? That's strange to me. You know, you hear these same parents, oh, I'd kill for my child. But you wouldn't love your child enough to see that they succeed in life. Really?
Exactly.
If you love your child that much, don't kill for them, live for them. Live for them. That's the live. Provide the example, provide the environment for them to learn and become all they can be. Give them a heads up. Make sure your children are better off than you are.
Yes.
You know, that's what we're supposed to do as parents. We're always supposed to make sure the next generation is better off than we were. You know, but sadly enough, we so selfish now. We let us compete with our children. I even heard of an example where the parents was actually jealous of their child. I mean,
really?
That's sad, but that's small.
That's beyond sad. But yes, it is the job of the parent to make sure that they do all they can so that the child can have a good, valuable life. They can survive without them, and that's our job as a parent.
Right.
And education is our only tool for survival.
Yes.
Really. It doesn't, some level of education, it doesn't mean you're going to get a doctorate degree. It could be a certified skill in some area, but some level of education is the only tool that we have out of poverty, and so that we can have a good life. And so we're asking you to like and subscribe. Of course, please call us as well. We on the telephone line here at 352-TALK. 352-8255. Please give us a call. We're also on Facebook Live, so we want you to check that out.
Share that link for Facebook. Tell your friends to join and get that. Get those subscribers in. We want to hear from you guys. Like, subscribe, comment. Call us in 352-TALK. 352-8255. And we're speaking about education today, guys. Back to school, and we touched on some very important points. How parents first line of defense, making sure that your child has the right environment so they can be all they can be, because an uneducated person will always be taken advantage of.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of societal institutions, they prefer us to be uneducated. That's where they can take advantage of us. That's where they can push anything down on us, because if you don't know any better, you fall for anything.
Right.
So education is a way to give us a step up. So it should be right up there with getting your life right with God. God first, get your education next. So that's what I got to say.
Okay. Yes, Jason and I are going to agree a lot on this show. So there won't be much controversy tonight. But yeah, someone in the room is sad about that. But anyway, we're going to continue. All right.
So, but there's another aspect of back to school that we will address right after this commercial break. So stick around, guys. Like, just share.
Where you going, mate?
To go buy these tickets for the party tonight.
Why this boy so dumb?
Tickets242.com.
You know how hard it is?
They sell tickets for parties, concerts, plays, sporting events, everything.
You know how expensive bus is?
Well, if you just buy the tickets online, they could just send you it in the email. Then you could just print it off.
You know how strong mosquitoes is?
Or you could go to the box office downtown at the Genesis Street Gear.
You ain't scared of Joneses, eh?
I like to do.
So welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm your host, Jason, my co-host,
Still Cheryl.
and we are talking about back to school. And I said there's another aspect of back to school that I needed to address, and this is important. Finances.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, back to school comes the same time every year, but we all scramble. We're always scrambling around like, oh, I gotta get this, as if it's surprising us. Why aren't we financially prepared to get our children back to school? What are we doing?
Well, I think some people really live from paycheck to paycheck and can't afford to have that surplus just sitting there waiting to get their kids. Some people genuinely are that way. And of course, that's not the majority, but there are some people who fit that category. And some people are just poor planners because it's not a priority right then. You know, summer is the time where we go on vacation. And, you know, it's funny because I notice it doesn't matter what the standard of living is. Bahamians, we travel.
Okay.
It could be the last penny we have.
I was waiting.
We will go away, go to Orlando, come back, don't have
okay
a
then.
penny.
All right.
Can't buy groceries when you come back, but
Right.
we're going on vacation.
All right. That's what I was about to say. And you said there's a segment of the Bahamians that are living from paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
But then, like you said, Cheryl, and you beat me to it. We can travel. We can find that money for everything else.
Yes.
And you're trying to tell me you can't set a little aside to
Mhm.
make sure them children straight. They can have their books. They can have their bags. Man, I thank God for these bunch of institutions out there, you know, these little small groups that are hosting these back to school giveaways, where they give away the books, the pencils, they're giving away free haircuts and they, you know, and the shoes and stuff. I applaud you guys. I wish I had a list in front of me so that I could just publicly thank you guys, because it was a good few of them who were doing it.
Yes, that's true.
But I think a lot of people depending on that because they know it's going to be a lot of giveaways, because you got some people who are actually going from giveaway to giveaway. They got their list. Okay,
Yes.
this one tomorrow, this one
Yes.
they go around, they collecting.
Mhm.
Some of them collecting to either give away their own or even sell. I hope there ain't nobody
I
selling it.
hope not.
But
Mhm.
we are so bad at preparing and prioritizing.
Mhm.
We can find the money to shop. We can find the money to go away. We can find the money to party and look good and live, you know,
Mhm.
go broke trying to look rich.
Mhm.
But we ain't gonna have the money to get our children ready for school.
Right.
Man, come on, man. But we growing though.
Mhm.
Nobody can tell us nothing. That's how we living, right? Yeah.
That's true. We do have
They're
our
trying to be
priorities
nice.
mixed up. Yeah. Oh, really? We do have our priorities mixed up. And I find that a lot. But my biggest issue really is, you know, not just that. My biggest issue is us prioritizing on the wrong thing. You have the Nike bag and no books in it. That's my problem. You have the child walking around in the Clark shoe and there's no parent at least in place, because there are parents in the house, but there's no parent in place to monitor, to make sure that learning is taking place. Because, and I'll always say that children only respect what we inspect.
Oh, wow.
And so if there's no plan at home, if there's no sit down time for one thing I used to do when my kids were in school, I checked their books. And they know I'm checking the books. So they better have something there. And I never had that issue, but the books need to be checked.
Accountability.
Conversation need to be had about whether you have homework. It needs, you know, like I said, the children, if they don't know you're going to check the books, then they don't really have anything to care about. So we know, even educators know, children who go to a home where they're monitored. You can tell there's a big difference in how the child responds in the educational environment. And so it's back on parents.
Yes.
For me, it's back on parents.
Definitely.
Parents will have to, because for me, 50% of a child's educational success is dependent on the parental involvement.
Only
50,
50%?
I would say 50%. If you're involved, you know your child's teacher, you have relationship with the child's teacher, you are nice to the child's teacher. I mean, yeah, that's very important. Be nice to the teacher. Come on, be nice to the teacher. But anyway, I'm saying go to the meetings, find out what's happening in the school.
Definitely.
And like you say, Jason, it's the parent, the child, and the school environment.
Yes.
But how would you know what's happening in the school environment? You don't go to the meetings. You don't have any relationship with the teachers. How would you
Correct.
know?
I agree. And to some parents' defense,
Mhm,
You know, they're so busy trying to provide the necessities. They're trying to keep the light on.
mhm,
They're trying to get the food, you
mhm,
know, and to make sure, because those things are definitely necessary.
mhm.
So they find it a bit challenging to be there educational wise, right?
So what's the answer?
Some of them, they haven't been able to even make it. They probably didn't even get a high school degree
True.
because of circumstances.
Mhm.
Life happened, and they had to just become. They were thrusted into family life.
Mhm,
So it's a struggle. My mother had to work to support 5 boys, so she wasn't really there to make sure we get our homework done.
mhm.
But guess what she did? She made sure
That's
somebody
what
was there.
exactly. And that's
to
what I
fill
was
in for
going to
her.
say. That's what I was going
Fill
to
in
say
for her.
because you know it's and you know my heart really goes out to parents who are in that situation because I'll pass some schoolyard sometimes and it upsets me to see little children at 7:30 in the morning at a school gate waiting. There's no adult around and that child is in danger.
Right.
So and I'm saying, okay, the parent has to go to work for 8 o'clock. What do? You have to go to work for 8 o'clock. So you jeopardize the child's life to save them. Because at the end of the day, you have to go to work to provide food on the table, but then you put the child in danger because. So it is a catch-22, but you have to get your village involved. This is the
Correct.
time you get your village involved. Yes, you can be there, but you got to find somebody
Correct.
who can be there.
Correct.
And I think we have to go back to where, you know, we said it's a village, the village raises a child. It takes a village,
Yes.
but we don't want the village because
Oh,
the village requires some things as well.
exactly. See that?
So if we're gonna have to relinquish something, some of our beliefs, some of our thoughts, you know, I'm gonna have to let you have free reign on maybe discipline my
authority,
child,
right, some
talking to my
authority,
child
right.
how I don't like, but if it takes, you can't want from the village and you're not willing to give to the village.
Exactly.
You
It's a
understand?
give
But
and take. It's a give and take.
but we have to make sacrifices once you become, and that's why let me tell you something, becoming a parent is not an easy decision and it should not be an easy decision because your life will change. Your life must change.
Your life should change.
If your life
because-
doesn't change, then you are a bad parent, period. If your life doesn't change after having a child.
If you still doing what you used to do when you were
Mhm.
single and you got a child and you still doing the same thing, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You need to go you need to put some parenting classes in place.
Yeah.
Hey, that's something
So-
we need to do. Parenting classes.
I think they have them, you know.
No, the people who need
Yes.
to go ain't gonna go. I think
That's
the
true.
court is up to force them to go.
It's
out
the
there.
same thing you see in the schools that when you go to the PTA meeting, the people who need to be there aren't there.
Yes, always.
The people
always.
who the teachers need to see don't ever show up.
So before we continue on, I would like to give a shout out to Reach Out Ministries and the Grand Bahama Port Authority for their back to school giveaway. BTC also had a small giveaway.
Mhm.
I know Lyndon Lundy also partnered with a lot of people who was giving out had some giveaways.
Mhm.
See, I didn't want to get into this name calling because I can miss some people.
Some people,
so
yes.
pardon me, guys. Please forgive me. But we have a comment. Mr. Producer, what do we have on the comment line today?
Good day. I agree. Parents need to monitor their children. Take the phone and games away so they don't go to their rooms and say they are studying when they are not.
Mhm.
Yes. That's a big issue. That
Mhm.
wasn't in my time, but that's a big issue now. And if you don't watch your kids with these phones, they can find all kind
Yes.
of slick ways to get them phones
Yes.
in that room.
Mhm.
And that education is the furthest thing from their mind once they got these devices.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
parents would probably be
Because-
best if your child isn't responsible, take that away from them
Mhm.
until the weekend, and only give that back to them
Mhm.
if their schoolwork is up to par.
Mhm.
Not that they did it, but it was done, and it was inspected, and it was to your approval.
Mhm.
Then they can have the device back, and that would motivate them to do better. But you got to be an involved parent.
Mhm.
That's what you all don't want to do.
Exactly.
You all just want to let
Easier.
the school raise your child. You want to
Mhm.
let
The
the
devices.
TV and the devices raise your
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be a parent. You just want to still live your life like you used to before the child comes.
And want to be friends with the kids.
Oh man, that's
You know, they want to be friends with the kids. And one way to be friends with the kids is to allow the child to be pleased by having their devices, having what they want to eat, having full use of how they govern their time. And that's just being an irresponsible parent. If the child is going to determine what they do, when they do it, where they do it, and all of that.
You might as well be the parent.
Exactly. And these devices, they take up a lot of the child's time and is responsible for a lot of poor work.
Poor choices.
Yes.
Not just poor work, poor choices. It influences their choices.
It's a
and
very
how they
big distraction.
and how they see life.
Yes.
It influences their thought process, their mindsets, their actions. These devices, mind you now, these devices, they're not just restricted to the Bahamas. They're not seeing the Bahamian culture. They have open carte blanche to the world.
Absolutely.
That's who's influencing our children, the world. So we have a caller. Caller, welcome to Let's Talk. You're live. Go ahead.
Jason, what's happening?
Go ahead. I'm good. What's going on?
And Cheryl, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
I loving the show. I'm watching this live. I'm loving it. Listen, with the devices, right now, I can be honest with you. Like, I've come to realize and learn that with these devices, it's a different world that our kids growing up in today. You know what I mean? Like, whereas there was books to us, growing up with books and being in your books and so on, these devices, they look at the world now. AI getting ready to take away everything.
Yeah.
So they have to position themselves as they growing up in a different world from us.
True.
I had to catch myself a lot of times, chastising my kids, but always being in their iPod, so on, right? And I had to realize that, listen, they growing up in a different world. My kids getting their 20s or 30s, it could be a real digital world. So it's just a way of monitoring. Us as parents, it can be difficult for us to monitor. Because, kids today, they crafty. They know. In fact, my kids will tell me I only use 10% of my phone, which is probably true.
That's true.
I didn't even realize
Yes,
that.
most adults,
so we have to find a way to work along with it to try to understand instead of, kind of like coming at them and say, hey, you always in your iPod. Because they are growing up in a different world.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But you said the ideal thing. You said monitoring. That means you're involved. So we're talking about a parent then who just leaves the child to their own and just allow the child to be on the device. But once you're a parent who you can allow the child to use the device, but you must monitor, you must be involved, and you must ensure that the child budgets their time accordingly so that they're not on the device all day long and there's no time applied to their schoolwork.
Sure, listen, you are so right, but as parents, see the day is you're an educator, you've been in the educational system. Me as a parent, just like I'm not an educator, and it's so easy to say monitor that because I'm one of those where I can say I can see. I rarely ask my kids, hey, what your homework was. And so on. That's mommy job.
Oh, okay. We're going to talk about that next. We're definitely going to talk about that. Oh boy, you open up a can of worms that Jason was hoping you like to stay close.
Thanks, caller, man. I really appreciate your call and you added some value to the show. And really call anytime, man.
All right, man. No problem.
Okay.
So but he made some valid points. It's a different area. We can't just take the phone away because that's what they need the phone to do. They actually need the phone to do some of their work. They actually need the devices to do their work.
But you have to, and like you said, it's a different time. When we were growing up, I read books, and even now, I'm appreciating the fact that now I read books on my tablet. So yes, I'm using the device for something that I used to do in the past. But we have to be involved even in the child's device life.
Yes.
Yes.
So guys, we'll continue this talk, but right now we got to take another quick commercial break. So we just hopefully you keep tuning in. Comment, like, subscribe, and call us. We'd love to hear what you got to say. We'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm Flynn Doxson from Nose Witness News, reporting live from Sniper Paintball City. We're here with the manager, and he's going to tell us a little about what they have to offer.
Daddy, I got this at Sniper Paintball. We have paintball, cornhole, mini golf, batting cage.
Strike!
That's not a strike.
So come on down every Saturday and Sunday to Sniper Paintball City, located next to Crosstown, where you and the family can have a great time.
See you at Sniper.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back to Let's Talk. And today we're talking about back to school. We're talking about parents being, parental involvement. We're talking about the child's responsibility and the school's responsibility. But our caller just now, he said something I found very interesting because, I wanted to find a nice way to bring the subject up about, whose role is it as it relates to ensuring that the child is doing what they're supposed to do in school. Mommy's role, daddy's role, are we sharing that together? But the caller said, yeah, that's mommy's job. Jason, how do you feel about that?
Listen.
Who monitors the homework? Who does that at home?
Strong. Whoever is stronger in that area
Really?
does it. I believe it's if an ideal situation where both mother and father in the home, they share it equally. If mom's strong in math, I deal with the math problems. The mom's strong in English, she deals with the English, or vice versa, whatever it is. But whoever is stronger or has the most patience,
I see.
Should take that job. That's how I feel.
So there was never a point where you felt like mommy should be watching over the homework, especially maybe even at the primary school level or whatever. Because usually, I think it is the general consensus that most people feel like that's mommy's job. That goes up with the housework.
Yeah. Mind
taking
you,
care of the children, more or less.
I'm different, but I'm the exception. But we're going by the rule now. And I think the rule is that's mommy's job. Because daddy go out, work, bring the bacon, mommy deal with the house. And the schoolwork, the children, that's part of the house. Daddy come in and step in where the mommy feels, when she's falling down, she's feeling a little overworked with it, then he's stepping, okay, let me give you a break. But primarily, that's just like how you would say, okay, daddy more financial and more physical in the home. And if the daddy's now spent, then the mommy now she steps up. So it's the same thing.
But anyway, based on my experience, I find that when a father is involved in this aspect, the child respects that a little more. It's better.
Yeah.
When I have, and I don't want to say too much on this, but if I ever have to see a parent, the child, as a teacher, the child, when daddy comes, man, there's a certain reverence, there's a fear, there is, you see the child through totally different eyes than when mommy comes to school.
Yeah.
If you have to deal with. And I think the father needs to, I wouldn't say take advantage of that, but use that because you I think in shows past, you talked about how, when the man speaks, there's some reverence from the children when the man speaks. In the home, the same thing applies. And on the first day of school, even yesterday, and I saw parents escorting children to school, and it was so refreshing to see so many fathers. I saw so many fathers escorting their children to school. And that needs to happen because the child needs to know also that daddy is involved in my school life. This is not just mommy, daddy's involved. And daddy's going to inspect what I do here. And I think that will help a lot.
Most definitely. Cheryl, statistics are proven. And they're proven, and you're going to disagree, but statistics have shown that fathers tend to yield a higher, you just said it, results. More positive results.
I love those statistics. So I want to see it in action.
Yes.
I want to see the fathers yielding these results.
So now you could start your campaign, and you could go there and you could put on your shirt and say, listen, ladies, quit this foolishness, but we don't need no man. No, we want these men in the home. I want to see you leading this campaign out there. Get these men, ladies, let's encourage these men. Stop whatever, even though you all two might not be together anymore, let's do what we could to make sure that these fellas, to encourage them to be there, to step up and be there for their kids. And I can send this out to the men. Guys, don't let that woman drive you from your child. Your child is the prize right here. They can respect you and they can love you. And don't mind mommy getting jealous. She can get jealous. That's her business.
Why he keeps doing that.
Don't get inside. Don't worry about her. She can get jealous. Be there for your child, all right? Make sure you there. Show that child that you're involved, that you care about what they're doing. And trust me, that's all most of these kids looking for. They just want their daddy to be involved inside their life. They'll do 100% better. I guarantee that. I know it. So we spoke and we stepped off of the back to school financial thing when I said, why aren't they ready and why they ain't prioritize it. I hope you all ladies, because I know plenty of always running after these fellas, them where the back to school money. Oh, Lord. And rightly so. Rightly so. You need to get that back to school money, but I hope you was looking for that back to school money for back to school.
Oh dear Lord.
You know, you know. We say that. I hear one story. The fella, might be have something to do with back to school or not. Say the woman wanted the fella to bring her the money so she could buy groceries for the kids.
Of course.
The fella buy the groceries. Woman big mad because he buy the grocery. She won't go buy the grocery.
Okay.
No.
Maybe that's not what the children eat. She knows what
Does
the
it
kids eat.
matter?
The children, yes, it does. Maybe she knows exactly. Maybe there's a certain things that the kids like to eat. So
food in the house.
She
Food there.
of course, I'm saying, yeah, she shouldn't be mad. You could be annoyed, but that's not a reason to be mad. Food is food. But
big mad because the man go and shop and bring the grocery rather than putting the money in her hand.
I don't
Big
see
mad,
why
big,
you
big
couldn't just
mad.
give her the money. But anyway,
Really?
yes.
Wow.
If the children are with her, then
Listen,
she has a better idea as
now
to how.
this,
and what.
this.
That's not
this-
about back to school. I'm not sure why Jason is bringing that up. We can talk about that next week. Next week we're talking about back to school. Okay, and it's
That's
the same
foolishness.
thing. If she asks for the money for back to school, and maybe she already got some donations for back to school, and maybe don't need anything else to go back to school, but the money spent on the children, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
For him buying the stuff rather than giving her the money.
Well,
Why
why is he buying the stuff?
Why can't he buy the stuff?
No, what's the mentality behind buying the stuff?
Because he
That's the thing.
probably don't trust her with the money. He probably knows
She's
exactly
taking
what's
care
going
of
to
his
happen.
children.
No, that's his children
The
and
chi-
her children. She's
Their,
taking care of her
their
children.
children are being taken care
And
of
he's
with the
doing that-
money.
And he's doing that by being proactive and going and bringing the stuff to make sure that it's applied to
Well,
where it's applied to.
Maybe he's being
making her
proactive.
accountable.
Maybe he's being spiteful. I don't know.
How is buying
I'm
stuff
not
for my child
there.
spiteful?
Jason, come on.
How is me buying my child books spiteful? Tell me, explain that to me. Break
Because-
that down for me.
Because she asked for the money, and
To
you
buy the books.
prefer to buy whatever you want to buy, just so you don't give her the money because you want control over what the money is spent
No, but that's
on.
my money, right?
Mhm.
And I buying books and stuff for my child, for our child, right? The child's getting the stuff. How is that being spiteful?
The woman may be able to have better use of the money. Maybe
Oh,
budget
so
the
the
money.
money- the money is for
No,
books.
maybe budget the money better. Maybe get more for the value for whatever he's getting it for.
But
so
the-
and can get a little more
But
out of that.
okay, she might get a little bit more, but she said she wanted to get 10 bucks. He buy 10 bucks, give her the 10 bucks. Oh, why ain't
She-
give me the money? I could
she
get
could've-
12. Well, you
she
should have
could've
told me get
gotten-
12 bucks.
She could have gotten to maybe 10 books and have some lunch money for the child,
But-
or gotten 12 books, or like you
But
said.
then she should have said what she wanted and not what she could try to be slick. Oh, when he give me the money, I can budget it more. No, ask what you want, you can get it. I thought the end game was for the child to get the stuff, not that she spend the money or he
I'm
spend
sure
the
there's
money.
a backstory.
Hmm.
Can we go back to school?
Yeah, whatever.
Yes,
Back to school. Back
definitely.
to school.
Sure, there's a backstory.
Prioritize these children. Make sure that children live up to their ends because they have
Mm-hmm.
a role in this as well. Because we said it's three parts. The parents, you are number one. The child is number two. We have to motivate our children and let them see how important it is for them to get a decent education because you cannot be successful in this life
Mhm.
without an education. You cannot. So
Yes.
the children need to see that at home because would you say they respect what they inspect?
Children respect what we inspect, yes.
So I'll get back to my points right after this caller. We got another caller. Welcome to Let's Talk. You're live.
Okay, so since the conversation is running all around this finance, my comment is it's not a question, it's more of a comment or to spark some more conversation. How about we begin to raise these children that have some financial capabilities where when they become men and they become women, they're spending the money properly, they're planning properly. We give them some life skills, and perhaps some of this can take place in the school environment rather than, for example, when I was growing up in school, a lot of the way we were taught was, you tell me something, I tell it back to you. And that's how I knew I got the answer right. And while that is to some degree correct, we didn't teach our children, or we weren't taught how to think critically, how to dissect the information and put it back together so that that we understand it clearly. The measure of whether or not it was correct was simply for me to regurgitate back what you told me. So all I had to do was to remember. So I would like to, seeing as we have an educator on the call, you know, to encourage, you know, more engagement with the students where they're being taught to think critically, how to, you know, look at the world through different eyes. And I'd also like to drop in there from the perspective of young people, especially those that are in the high school range, where we, you know, we say, go to school, get a good education so you can get a good job. We don't teach our children how to create jobs, how to think outside of the box, how to learn to make a way for themselves in this world, rather than, you know, just go and work for somebody else and wait for that paycheck to paycheck life to kind of set in. And I'll hang up and let y'all have a go at it, or give me some feedback.
Okay.
Thank you so much, caller. The caller said a lot.
Yes.
Caller dropped a lot of knowledge on that, and we need to address that.
Yes.
And I was getting there. I was slow, but I was getting there. And that's when I said we can talk about the education system later. And that's what I was referring to. You know, the education system is like a assembly line. They teach us how to memorize and to be
I'm going to
be a
disagree with
carbon
you there.
copy. Go ahead.
I'm going to disagree with you there,
ahead.
because in every class, there are objectives for the lesson. And in every class, there are objectives that require you. Yes, there are lower level thinking objectives that require you just the name, to recall, to define, just to give information back. But there are higher order thinking objectives that teachers ask, and they require you to compare, to criticize, to analyze. And so every lesson is planned with that in mind. And it's easier for a child, of course, just to give information back. But of course, lessons are created in that order. So children are all given the opportunity. Of course, not all of them do, because we have children, and I agree with you, they're lazy thinkers, but it's not just the education system. And I don't want to talk too much about that, but the education system now has pathways where you have a career path, and you have those persons who want to go into an academic pathway. We have vocational areas in school that are designed just for persons to develop skills to become entrepreneurs. And that's from just about in any area, in any engineering area, whether it's auto mechanics, air conditioning, hospitality, business areas. There are many different vocational areas that are offered in schools, and the government is doing a lot more just to make sure that every child has the opportunity to choose a pathway, like I said, whether it's college or an academics area, or a career path. But I am just going to roll the ball right back into the parents' court, because Jason, I can tell you whatever, but if you're learning something at school and then the lifestyles around you are mirroring or telling a different story, you can learn how to budget money in school, and then you are at home and you see your parents practicing something totally different, and it's attractive.
Okay.
You have a choice to make.
Okay, well, Cheryl, we touched on that already, right? I don't want to be that part, because we already know the parents is number one. Foundation. We just established that. The children, number two. Now we're saying the teachers. I don't know of any, and this, at least I can speak for when I was in school, and even my kids coming up.
Right.
I don't see no critical thinking. All I see is memorize, be able to repeat, memorize.
Really?
Yes, memorize. 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2. Columbus sailed the ocean in 1492. All of these things, just memorize. No critical thinking. I don't see that. I don't see conflict resolutions in school. I don't see budgeting in school. I don't see entrepreneurship in school. Now I do see the what you call them, the electives, where they could be a mechanic or those
areas,
I see those, but even those, they're still memorizing what to do. They're not.
No.
They're not. It's not encouraged. It's not encouraged where they have how relationship, like how to relate with one another, conflict resolutions. Those things are not taught in school.
That is taught in family life classes.
Really, but
That
that's
is-
not
yes,
straight across
that
the
is-
board. And
Yeah,
that- and even if it-
every child does family life classes.
When they
Yes.
start that?
Every single child in school does
Oh,
family life
wow.
class and have done so for a number of years.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I don't know if we can date back to as far as when you were in school.
But I can tell you it wasn't in my class.
But
And I don't
but
hear my
I'm
children
saying-
talking about it. I don't see them sitting. Now, I'm not as deep into it as when they were in primary school, because when they were in primary school, I was right into their books. Make sure they do this, make sure they do them. As they get older, I take the reins of, hey,
Mhm.
you're old enough, you're all doing some math and some things I never even saw.
Mhm.
That on y'all. Go on YouTube, find her. Then we can go through it together. Okay, we come up with the right answers. But again, that was memorizing. And it was like an assembly line, like school system as how I see it. They'll have some children thinking they're failures because if they don't make it an academic, like if I'm not so smart in English or book smart, I'll feel like I'm a failure because so
anymore.
such and such over here,
That used
they
to be,
get it
but
so easy.
not anymore. That
you
would
know?
have been when you were
Like,
also in
it's
school,
like-
Jason. That's
it's like,
not anymore. I
really?
must say, yes. And I must say, a lot of the curriculum for the government, I don't know how much it's investigated by the larger public. I don't know how involved people are in their child's education, what happens in school. But our education system and our curriculum and whatever happens in the classroom lends itself to a lot of critical thinking. But like I said before, and that's the thing with our children being in these devices, everything is so easy. Information is easy, and all children want to do is recall information. But when you look at even children who are doing well, when children are asked to do creative writing, when children are asked to do English literature that requires you to look at things from different perspectives and to put things in your own words and to give feedback on a topic in your own words based on your perspective from what was given to you. You're not asked to regurgitate the same information, but to give your perspective and to make comparisons with the author and what he's thinking at the time. So you have
That's
the
two
information
subjects. That's
in
two
school.
subjects. That's two
It's
subjects.
all the subjects. I don't have time to go into all of it.
Okay.
But I taught a whole class
Okay.
on entrepreneurial skills. And my grade 8 students were starting businesses, doing budgets and making comparisons. They were advertising their business.
And this was part of
and-
this was part of the education system, or
Yes.
this was something you as a passionate teacher did on your own?
It was a part of the education system, yes.
Okay, well, I don't
And
get
I
you in any
think-
problem, so I shouldn't even have asked that question.
No,
So you'll have to say that even if it's true or not, that's the right answer. And I
Anyway.
gotta applaud you for that, but I shouldn't have asked
Anyway.
that question to put you on the spot, right?
What I just want to say, and this will be the last thing, I've said a lot, but I want to say is we have the formula. We have the formula for every child to be successful in education in the Bahamas. We have the formula. We just need the players to play their part.
Which is the parents and the child. So you're saying the teachers got the playbook. We just need the two players now to come on the court and play.
Yes.
But Cheryl,
I'm not saying we're perfect. I'm not saying I'm not representing the education system. I don't know how Jason and the caller turned that on me, but I'm not saying it's a perfect system. But I'm saying it's a system that can guarantee success.
I can't guarantee
If
everybody plays their part.
everybody plays their part.
So we're going to take another short commercial break, and we'll be right back to continue with this very good topic.
Welcome to Karen's Kitchen, where we specialize in Bahamian dishes such as fried fish, crack conch, crab soup, and much more. We're located on Queens Highway next to GB Muffler. To order, call 441-4033.
No.
This may be the rule as our national average is still very low.
Most Bahamians know people who live in these shanty towns. Like you said, either their babysitter, the hairdresser, the carpenter, the plumber, the sweetheart.
No, not the sweetheart. Oh, Lord. not the sweetheart.
Everything, right? There's one-stop shop.
What's going on? Every Tuesday at 8 p.m. starting February 28th on the Superior Talk Bahamas YouTube channel.
So welcome back to Let's Talk, and today we're talking about back to school, and we're focusing on education. The three players: parents, children, and the teachers or the school. We have a comment here says teachers also need to find ways to address the needs of students individually, those that excel academically and with technical skills. Also, let's teach money management, entrepreneurship, life skills to our students. I think
Agreed.
the caller mentioned that.
Yes.
The caller also says we have adult children coming out of school and don't have basic skills to complete basic tasks on a job. That's correct. They're graduating and they can't complete the basic tasks on the job. That's an indictment on the school. I can say it's the school fault there.
I won't say anything.
Because why would you let a person graduate? Why would they allow a person to graduate if they can't?
I don't think the person would have said graduated. They would have said left school, because that person cannot graduate, not based on the exactly. So you can leave school if you are if you leave school without having the basic
school. Now, they say coming out of school.
Yeah, if you leave school, you come out of school without the basic skills. Whose fault is that?
Listen, I know some people who graduate and they graduate because they could add and they could read, right? But that basic thinking, that critical thinking, oh, you'd be like, how you even come to that conclusion? How will you even succeed in life? And that's where I go again. We have some people who book smart and some people who just street smart. Some people, because they book smart, that means they have common sense.
That's true.
And they will graduate being book smart, but they can't really function in life.
Right.
So that's where it comes now to the education system, because the education system is teaching them books and they ain't really teaching them the critical thinking. How do you get from point A to B if C is not there? See, now they could repeat because they were taught 1 + 1 is 2. But now they ain't gone into the depth of why 1 + 1 = 2. They're only recording it. They only report what they record. They don't know why it's done. They only know that it's done.
Anyway, well, if we have people who are challenged learners, we have people who are slow learners. And the Department of Education has a department that tests your learning capabilities. And once the parent, I'm going back to the parent, once the parent realizes that you spend enough time with your child, you know your child's ability level. Once you realize that your child may be challenged in some area, you can have your child tested by the Ministry of Education, and you have special education units. Either the child is going to be in a general population in a school and is given, put in a class that where they can learn at their level, or they're put in special school. But education at every level is available to everyone. And so it is the parents' responsibility to make sure that that happens. If you have someone in a school who is not functioning, there are trade schools that the parent can take the child out of an academic school and put in BTVI. And we've had parents do that when the child gets to maybe grade 10 or 11 and the parent sees that the child is not making it. They remove the child and put the child where he or she can learn a skill, and so they're able to take care of themselves.
Cheryl, our national average is a D, which means these students graduating with a D. If our national average is a D, that's what I assume. They're graduating with a D.
Okay, the national average is a D, which is based on national examinations that are taken, right?
Right.
And for national examinations that are taken, there's a curriculum for it. The curriculum is taught to the children.
Right.
There are afternoon classes that are provided for the children.
Right. So why are these children graduating with a D?
I don't think.
Why are they being allowed to graduate with a D is what I'm getting at. Because if they're allowed to graduate with a D, then we'll have a national average of a D. So if they move that national average to a C, I mean.
No, the national average is that because
that's
what it is.
Wait, let me
It's not the requirement for graduation.
I'm assuming, and you correct me if I'm wrong, for the national average to be a D, that's all the schools graduating. They took a pool.
No, that is not based on, that is based on all the results from all the schools, public and private.
Right.
And that's from every grade is used to create that statistic from A all the way to G. G. So every grade is used to calculate that. So while the national average may be a D, there are schools that are averaging C's.
Yes, I understand. But if they say a national average is a D, that means I am assuming the average person who graduates, not everybody, has that D.
Because No, because that is not what's used for graduation. There are different requirements that's used for graduation.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, so back to we went all little
Yes.
off just now. But
Even off.
back back to this critical thinking
Mhm.
and conflict resolution in school and budgeting. Do you feel that the school is pushing that enough? They're prioritizing that enough to give these students what they need to function in life? Is the focus being put more on that or more on graduating with good grades, like from English and math and all, rather than, yeah,
Well, there's work to be done. I think there's work to be done, definitely. I in no way cannot represent the Ministry of Education
course
or the
not. I'm
educational
asking you
system.
what you
But
think.
in my opinion, I think there's work to be done. But I think a lot is already being done. I think that it's a good curriculum that's being worked from. And I think, like I said before, if everyone plays their part, if the parent gets involved in child's education, if children become more focused on education and not be distracted by so many other things, parents start going to the schools, start going to the PTA meetings, start getting involved. Afternoon classes are offered. Prioritize that financially and ensure that your kids get the help that they need in order to pass these exams. It can work. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Yes, there's work to be done, but we already have enough for children to succeed.
Guys, like, subscribe, and share. We have a comment in, and then I can join back because I wanted something to say to Cheryl just now. She say a lot, man. She don't, I just can't keep up. She say so much. But go ahead, Mr. Producer.
Our kids are not taught to think critically at home. Not everyone has, not everyone has common sense. That's simply something you can't teach in school. If the parents lack it, then what are the teachers supposed to do? Wow. Budgeting begins at home.
Mhm.
Children are given money by parents.
Exactly.
They are given lunch money and allowances by parents.
Exactly.
Should not that be taught by the parents? Yes, the school can assist. How parents talk to their children now. How parents talk to their children and how they answer questions when the child from those formative years will determine how the child's intelligence is developed.
Absolutely.
I agree. And callers, commenters and everyone viewing. If you may have missed it, but we really laid it on the parents at the beginning because, like we keep saying, it all begins with the parents. Everything begins with the parents.
Mhm.
So that's why we have the players, parents, the children, and then the teachers.
Mhm.
So the parents first,
School system.
the children's second, and then the schooling system third.
Mhm.
So we related on those two, right? We didn't go too deep into the children because they're children and they're taking their lead, their cues from the parents. But I didn't want to let the school off the hook because they have a big role to play.
Yes.
They have a major role to play. It might not be as big as the parents, but they have a major role to play. Teachers, some teachers only there for the paycheck. Some teachers just there because it's a job. I've heard some stories from my children
don't know
of
any.
how the teachers speak to some of the children, and I'd be like, did they speak like that to you? No, so I say okay, because I would like to go and have a word with these teachers. But it seems like the
But
teachers
it has to
know
happen
who-
to your child, Jason, for you to have a problem with it?
But no, see, I'm not going to overstep my boundaries.
What does that mean?
Understand? I know my role. I can play my role. And I'm talking about some egregious, something seriously done by the teachers. I'm just talking about some teachers just talk too harshly to children. Some children need it, some don't. But for the teacher to get away with it, for them to do it, that means that they feel some kind of way, some comfort level to do the things they do and say. Not all teachers, just like how you have bad apples in the police force and bad apples elsewhere, you have bad apples in the teachers as well. And you
I don't
don't
know
sit
any.
there and pretend it
I
don't
don't
happen.
know.
That means, what they say, you probably part of the problem. But so the teachers
I don't
have
know
a
any.
big, the school system has a big role to play. Yes, budgeting and critical thinking and financial goals, all that starts at home, but the teachers, the school system has to reinforce it as well. If the parents, so you're saying now, the child, unfortunately was born to the wrong home environment. Should this child now suffer because the parents don't do it? No, the teachers got to step into and help. But anyway, let me stop.
Yeah, please.
Caller, you're live. Welcome to Let's Talk. Caller, you're live.
Hello?
Just listen to the phone, please. Don't listen to the TV or the device. Go ahead.
Hi, yes, I'm just calling to agree with Jason when he is saying that a lot of teachers, they don't have a passion for what they do. Because Cheryl, honestly speaking now, I think you've mentioned in the past that you have children. And I'm sure that your child at least one time has come to you and mentioned the teacher who they are, who they have complained about, because that teacher spoke ill to them or acted on some type of grievance towards them. And a lot of times, we all know teachers are human. We know they are humans. Everybody has their own thing going on. But a lot of times, teachers come to school and take that out on innocent students. And they take advantage of students because they know that the voice of the students are often unheard. And
Thank you,
then
Paul.
they disguise it as being rude, disobedient, insubordination. It is true, Cheryl, honestly and true. It is true. And I've been, and especially I feel in the government system, because all you really have to do is go to UB, get a 4-year degree, pass, and they place you in the school system. They give you a classroom and they tell you to make your lesson plans and you start teaching.
Wow.
So, Jason, honestly, what you're saying, I agree with it. And we can't neglect that. We cannot neglect that.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller. Appreciate you. Yeah, thank you, because Cheryl playing food. Call us anytime.
I think I know that caller. So I won't comment. I'll give them a call after the show.
But Cheryl, I should have said, I had to go to school on 2 occasions for a teacher dealing with my son unjustly. And sometimes teachers do this because they feel that there's no recourse. They like the caller said, most times the student's voice is silenced because they're a child. And a lot of them don't like to speak because they feel like, oh, they ain't gonna believe me. They can take the side of the teacher. But I raise my kids, say, listen, you got something to say to me, say it. We can go in front of that teacher and I'll make them repeat what happened. So my children aren't reluctant to tell me what happened. So I had to approach a teacher before on 2 different occasions, 2 different teachers, maybe more than that. My children have to let me. But I'm no stranger to the school system because I'm an involved parent. I go there and I say, listen, if you got any problems with my kids, they disrespectful, you got permission to lay hands on them. I ain't say kill them, but I say you got permission to lay hands. If you don't lay hands, call me. I'm a phone call away and I'll be there. And they know that.
Yes.
I'm an involved parent. I PDA meetings and all that stuff.
Okay.
So we have, this topic is far from over, but sadly we only have an hour. I would like to go even deeper into it because this touches everybody. But we have to wrap up, unfortunately. So Cheryl, let me hear your closing remarks.
I just want to close by saying, I wish every child going into the school year this year, I wish every child academic success. I wish that parents who weren't as involved last year, that we get involved. I hope, I pray that parents become, and I just want to reiterate the fact that children respect what you inspect. So monitor our children, monitor their work, monitor their time, monitor their use of their devices. They're only going to be children once. And so make this education a priority so that they can be the best that they can be.
I agree with Cheryl 100%. And I'm going to direct this at the parents. Parents, your children can only be a success. At least you play a big part in their success. And if you're not really involved, then the children will take the path of least resistance. They won't check either. Cheryl mentioned it earlier. If they don't see you as taking it as a priority, they won't take it as a priority. And parents, if you're an involved parent, you would know where your child is lacking. So you can't put it all on the school. You have to work hand in hand with the teachers to ensure that your child will be a success. So it takes 3 players. The parent is the number 1, then the child, and then the schooling system. The child will find it very difficult to be a success with either one of those other places. So guys, let's make this a successful school year. Parents, we can be better parents. We can be to every PDA meeting.
Yes.
We can make sure our children do all they got to do. Children, we can obey our parents. We can obey our teachers. We can apply ourselves. Teachers, we can find that passion and we can leave no child behind. We can be in contact with the parents and we can make sure do all we got to do to bring this national average up to a B. That's our goal for 2024. Thank you. This has been Let's